Hi guys, I'm Michael, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about the continuous deployment feature of Xperience by Kentico. Now this is a really good feature for saving time for developers and DevOps teams. It's something I've been using the last few months, and it really has saved a lot of time. When you look at the previous Kentico products, there wasn't really a feature that would allow you to automatically deploy new object changes from your development environment through a deployment pipeline into your test instances and production environments without quite a lot of custom work. So this is a really good feature that's going to save you a lot of time and effectively enable you to create your object changes, things like content types, web page types, other objects within the system within your development environment, serialize them into XML files, and then have those committed into source control and then deployed out through your auto build and deployment pipeline to your test and production instances. So here I am on the continuous deployment section of the Kentico documentation. This is going to talk you through how to create the continuous deployment CD repository files that you need in order to enable this feature. So if we come down the page here, the first thing that you need to do is run a script that's effectively going to create your repository config. So by way of example, here's an Xperience by Kentico project that I have open at the moment. I've decided to put my repository config file within app data, then CD repository folder which I've created, and then I've used the command line utility to effectively create the repository config. Now within the config there's lots of configuration that can happen, but I've kept it simple whereby I'm only going to be serializing any content types that I create within the website, and then I'm also using the Xperience Community Redirects package. So I'm preparing redirects within my development environment, and I want those to be deployed out to all of the test and production instances. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is we need to run the command to store our object changes from the database, serialize them into the CD repository. So down here we've got a script that we can run within the .NET CLI. Now you can run this within PowerShell, and we're going to go away to the database and then pull out the objects that we've configured that we want to serialize into the CD repository based on our repository config, and then it will enable us to basically commit those XML files to the source control. Now to speed up development workflow, I created a PowerShell script that's going to do that for me. So in here you can see I've got commands running here, and in my case as well, what I'm actually doing is I'm creating a zip archive of all the generated XML files just to reduce the size ultimately later on of my NuGet package that gets deployed into the environments. But you don't have to do this, this is an optional step. So let's go ahead and run that. Okay, great, that's all run and finished successfully. So the next thing we need to do is to configure the restore of the object by using Kentico's restore command. So again, if we hop into the documentation here, we've got a way of running the restore command against our deployed assembly. So we're not running this in a local development environment, so we are running this on the deployed project. So, and this is going to contain built assemblies. This is going to be your website DLL here, and then we're running the C restore command, and again we're giving it the path to the repository within our deployed website root folder. So let's head on over to our deployment tool here. So we're using the Octopus deploy, but it will work with any deployment pipeline tool. And in our process, the first step we're going to do is take the website offline, and you're going to deploy in your code. Now we get to the step where we're going to run the CD restore command. So if I head on to this step here, it's a PowerShell script that I'm running on the website root directory, and this is running from within the deployment target, so on the web server, in this case a Windows VM where the website has been deployed to. So if I look at this code here, you can see I'm running the .NET CLI here against my assembly, and then executing the restore command and giving it the path to my CD repository within the app data folder. So up here I'm just defining a variable that effectively gets that path for me. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure there's no other files in the CD repository location. And I then get to the next step where I'm going to unzip my CD repository config, I know that I'm getting an accurate representation of what was zipped up from my local development environment earlier. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run the restore command. Okay, so I've pushed that to the source code repository, it's gone through our build tool, and now it's going to be deployed to our website. So as you can see in here, it's coming and deploying the package currently to the Windows VM, and now it's going to run the CD restore script on the database. So let's just have a look in here. So you can see the steps that it's outputting here. So it's extracted the files and it's now running the CD restore on the database. And I must say it's actually really quite quick. I did think this might take quite a long time, but obviously it helps that I've actually only scoped it to content types and some redirects, but maybe it would take a bit longer. But actually if I was using other object types, it might take a bit longer, but it's actually really fast. And you can see that's it, all done. So you can see here, like, this has saved me a hell of a lot of time, bit of setup to do at the beginning, but actually when you look back at, say, previous versions of Kentico prior to that, this is quite a manual process of updating all these object changes within each environment. So you could either be doing that by exporting and importing packages, or maybe using the staging module within Kentico. But actually this makes a really good sense, because when you're making changes to content type, normally you're making code changes as well. So what this really does is it ties content type changes and other object changes in the system with your code changes as well. So it really takes the risk away out of deployments of perhaps forgetting to sync or export and import a certain content type change. You now don't really have to worry about that anymore, because it's all taken care of for you within the continuous deployment feature of Kentico. So absolutely brilliant feature. I really encourage you to all use it. And actually what I've done to help you along the way as well is I've created a GitHub repository with these PowerShell scripts on here. So if we head on over to, I've created an Xperience community DevOps repository here, and if you head on into the scripts folder, within here there's a continuous deployment folder here, and I've got copies of both the two scripts that I'm using. So we've got the store CD files PowerShell script here. I've also got the restore CD files PowerShell script that you can run on your deployment target, and everything's there. You'll find a link to this GitHub repository in the description of the video below. If you have any comments or any issues, any questions, please do comment below. I'll be happy to help you out. Of course, another good place to go and ask questions is on the community portal of Kentico, which is on community.kentico.com/Q&A. You can go over there and ask any questions, and there's lots of people who'll be happy to help you out. Be sure to like and subscribe, because I've got more videos coming up. The next video I'm going to be doing is detailing how you can completely automate your Xperience by Kentico upgrades to your hosted website by your deployment pipeline. See you later.